Thomas Edison is taught in nearly every school as the inventor of the light bulb. At least 20 other inventors had already built working electric lights before he ever touched the problem. The real story is considerably more interesting than the myth. Welcome back to Breakthrough on Neural Feed. Last week, we covered the printing press. This week, we're tackling an invention whose popular history is, frankly, mostly wrong: the light bulb. Let's get into it. The basic principle behind incandescent light, running electric current through a material until it glows from the resulting heat, had been demonstrated by multiple inventors decades before Thomas Edison entered the picture. In 1802, English chemist Humphrey Davy demonstrated electric light using a thin strip of platinum, though it burned out far too quickly to be remotely practical for everyday use. Throughout the following decades, numerous inventors across Europe and the United States, including Warren de la Rue, Frederick de Molins, and notably English physicist Joseph Swan, continued experimenting with different filament materials and various vacuum techniques, each one trying to solve the same fundamental, stubborn problem. Joseph Swan, working independently in England, had actually developed and publicly demonstrated a genuinely working incandescent light bulb using a carbon filament by 1878, a full year before Edison's most famous, widely publicized demonstration. The fundamental concept of incandescent electric light was not remotely new by the time Edison turned his serious attention to it. What remained genuinely unsolved was making it practical, reliable, and durable enough for sustained, everyday commercial use.
By 1878, when Edison began his own serious work on the problem, the core challenge wasn't proving electric light was theoretically possible. That had already been clearly demonstrated by multiple other inventors. The challenge was making a bulb that could reliably burn for a genuinely practical, useful length of time, using a manufacturing process that could realistically be scaled up for mass commercial production. Early experimental filaments, including Swan's original carbon design, frequently burned out after just a few hours of use, made from materials that weren't durable enough to survive sustained use under the intense heat and electrical stress involved. Edison and his dedicated team at Menlo Park systematically tested an enormous number of different potential filament materials, purportedly numbering well over 1,000 distinct candidates, searching specifically for one that could reliably burn for hundreds of hours, rather than just a handful. This kind of large-scale, exhaustive, methodical, brute force experimental approach was genuinely characteristic of how Edison's entire research operation worked. Less a single flash of individual genius insight, and considerably more an organized, well-funded, systematic engineering and testing process. In October 1879, after extensive systematic testing, Edison's team found genuine success with a carbonized cotton thread filament that burned for approximately 14 to 15 hours, a meaningful improvement over many previous attempts, but still not yet a genuinely practical commercial product. Continuing to search for an even more durable material, Edison's team eventually tested carbonized bamboo fiber and found it could reliably burn for over 1,200 hours under proper laboratory conditions, a dramatic, transformative improvement that finally made commercially viable, mass-produced electric lighting genuinely realistic for the first time. Edison also made significant, important improvements to the vacuum pump technology used to remove air from inside each bulb. A better vacuum meant less oxygen remaining inside the bulb to react with and degrade the hot filament, which directly and substantially extended the bulb's overall practical lifespan. It's worth being precise here. Edison did not invent the basic concept of the incandescent filament, and he did not invent the foundational vacuum bulb concept either. What his team specifically achieved was identifying a genuinely practical, durable, scalable combination of filament material and bulb design that could realistically be manufactured at meaningful commercial scale and reliably sold to ordinary paying customers.
Given how many other inventors had already been working independently on closely related, overlapping technology, intense legal disputes over patents and rightful credit were genuinely inevitable. In Britain, specifically, Joseph Swan held a separate, earlier patent for his own version of incandescent light, and he ultimately sued Edison's British operating company directly for patent infringement. Rather than continuing the costly, drawn-out legal fight, the two parties eventually settled by forming a joint company called Swan that sold their now combined technology together in the British market. In the United States, Edison fought numerous separate legal battles against other competing inventors and companies over various specific filament and bulb patents, with mixed and often contested outcomes across different cases. This recurring, contentious pattern, multiple inventors independently working on closely related problems, followed by extensive legal disputes specifically over who deserved primary credit and patent rights, was genuinely common throughout this particular era of rapid industrial and technological innovation. And it directly highlights why crediting any single individual as the sole inventor of a major technology is so frequently a significant historical oversimplification. Here's the part of the story that actually deserves considerably more recognition than it typically receives. Edison's most genuinely significant, lasting contribution wasn't really the light bulb itself. It was the complete electrical distribution system required to actually power large numbers of light bulbs reliably, simultaneously, and economically across an entire neighborhood or city. Edison and his team designed and built electrical generators, underground power distribution lines, electrical meters for accurately billing individual customers, and an entire integrated commercial business model for reliably delivering electricity as a genuine utility service, comparable in concept to gas or water service at the time. In September 1882, Edison's Pearl Street station in Lower Manhattan became the first commercial power plant in the United States, successfully supplying electricity to a few hundred nearby light bulbs across a small surrounding service area. A genuinely complete, fully functioning end-to-end system, not merely an isolated standalone product. This is arguably Edison's true, most lasting legacy, not specifically inventing electric light itself, but rather being the person who figured out how to reliably and economically deliver it as a complete, practical commercial service to ordinary paying customers at meaningful scale, establishing the basic underlying model that electrical utilities worldwide still fundamentally operate on today. Decades of incremental work by numerous inventors across multiple countries, a systematic, exhaustive search through over 1,000 candidate filament materials, a bitter, drawn-out legal battle over rightful credit, and a true legacy that turned out to be less about the bulb itself and considerably more about the entire electrical system built specifically to power it. Next week on Neural Feed, we cover another invention with a remarkably similar pattern. Multiple inventors racing toward the same breakthrough, and a bitter race to the patent office. The telephone. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Drop a comment. Did you know Edison didn't actually invent the underlying concept of the light bulb? See you next week.